Hello lovely people, it's Victoria. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna raise the volume. Hopefully I'm not peaking in the audio too much, but it's fine. My audio I feel like is always so freaking quiet and I get comments about it, but I'm always afraid of my audio peaking. And it's like deceptively quiet because I hear myself in my headphones and I think it's fine, and then it is not. I just did an updated what's in my purse video, and I'm gonna continue in the spirit. I need to back up because that looks weird. Okay, I feel like that makes more sense. I'm going to continue in the spirit of videos that I've been thinking of making for a long time and then just didn't. I would like to do an update or follow-up thing to my Tyler Joseph video that I made about a month ago. So before I get into that, I'm Victoria. I'm a singer-songwriter. I make content about whatever I feel like talking about whenever I feel like talking about it. And that basically includes myself and commentary about whatever I feel. It's been mainly internet culture in the past. I think it's going to veer a little more towards media, but really it's going to be more of a music and personally oriented channel, just for my own peace of mind. I know that's not as popular as the internet commentary videos I've made, but it's just better for me mentally, I think, to not fixate too much on things that make me angry. Obviously, there are certain things that I really do want to talk about, and it's cathartic for me too, but I don't really think that's going to be the crux of my channel, and I talked about that in my What's in My Purse video. It's been a lot less long form as of late. Up until about 2 weeks ago, I was posting short form every single day, some kind of singing video every single day, and I do hope to get back to it. But yeah, consider checking out my Linktree. It has my socials. I post quite a bit on TikTok, including stuff that I don't post here, but I also post stuff here that I don't post on my other things as well, so I feel like there's something uniquely offered on each of my platforms, so consider checking those out. I also have a website that I really need to blog on more, and I just don't, even though I have specific ideas. And consider possibly leaving me a digital tip in my PayPal, which is linked on my YouTube channel here. If you'd like to financially support my channel in any way, I make absolutely no money on any of my content, and so that would just mean a lot, but it means a lot with you being here. So consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell so you're notified when I post, which is kind of sporadically, but hoping to get back into the everyday thing like I said. So with all that being said, I actually did write a script for this. I wanted to do a follow-up to my Tyler Joseph video, which I uploaded, I think, about a month ago at the time of me filming this. And unlike that video, I actually wrote out my points ahead of time, so I'm gonna probably be looking over here at my computer. So I just want to restate again how unyielding my love for 21 Pilots is, just because it's just fun to remind myself and everyone of I saw the clip of them in Paraguay when the power shuts out, and the way that Tyler just immediately jumps into like boss mode, the way he handles it is so admirable. I admire and respect the hell out of both of them. In particular, Tyler Joseph, like I was talking about, he really is my idol. But really both of them, the drive that led both of them to get there, the way they support each other, just as a whole, as a collective, they inspire me so much. And there are very, very few things on the planet that could significantly affect that. I stand by basically everything I said in my original video. And I like that I made it as an exercise in balancing my idol worship and pointing out things that I know I would point out if it were just about anyone else. I want to maintain as balanced of a perspective as I possibly can, kind of unrelated. But I had recently, at the time of me writing this, I had learned the term anxiety of influence, and I feel like it applies to me and Tyler Joseph. My understanding of anxiety of influence is it's basically like a type of creative frustration where you feel unable to separate your own art from what influences you. And this doesn't affect me as much as it used to, but it definitely still has its moments, and it definitely really affected me a lot when I was younger. Getting into that, I ended up not posting my original Tyler Joseph video anywhere else except on my YouTube channel. I mentioned that I was probably going to post it on TikTok, and that's why I made it vertical, and then I just didn't because I was really nervous about putting more eyes on it, which is really unlike me. I didn't even like break it up and make shorts out of it. I just had it up on its own, and it still picked up quite a bit of traction and quite a bit of engagement. So first off, I was pleasantly surprised by how respectful and thoughtful the comments were on that video. I did not delete a single comment. If something's particularly hateful, I will delete it, but I try not to. I very rarely delete comments, and I mentioned that, and I didn't end up deleting anything. And I mentioned that to my mom. I'm like, everyone's been really respectful, and she's like, probably because you told them to, and I'm like, people on the internet rarely listen to shit like that. Like, people actually really seem to listen. So it's definitely one of my lower like to dislike ratios, but the comments in particular were a very pleasant surprise. Even when people disagreed with me, I could tell that they actually had watched at least most of the video. It sounded like they really were hearing me out, and they were engaging with what I said in a really thoughtful way and using critical thinking, and I just really appreciated that. So it got me thinking more deeply about the kind of things I was talking about, and I realized that I have a more confused opinion about certain aspects of it than I thought I did. In a lot of ways, I do stand by what I said, but also I started dissecting and kind of criticizing why I felt certain things, and just kind of the anatomy of influence in a way, and why I not depend on, but like why I seek validation of my beliefs from certain people and things like that. And also to what degree I'm sort of conditioned to want people to speak about certain things, because I'm so surrounded by the idea that that's just what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. Especially I feel like in this day and age, this political climate where everything's political, and silence equals complicity, and just these ideas that are always pushed forward of like, you need to assert where you stand, you need to separate yourself from this. But a comment that I got put it in really interesting terms, that a lot of public figures just mention something once or tweet about something once in order to, quote, check the I spoke publicly box and move on with their lives, end quote. And I thought this was a really interesting way of wording it, and it is very accurate. I do see that in a lot of ways, of people, they just speak about something once and then they don't really exercise passion for it beyond that. And I don't really know why I instinctively value that box being checked so much, but I do. And I think it's wanting to verify that people that I'm inspired by and that I admire and that I have this emotional connection with through their art are safe people in a deeper respect, like in the sense that they care about the issues that would affect me, or even just people in general in terrible ways, or very important ways. Like, it would be nice to know that people I admire would give a shit about women and people with female anatomy being forced to carry unsafe pregnancies in a lot of states. It wouldn't do anything to change it, most likely, but it would be nice. And I think it's just this inherent level of safety of that being validated that I seek. And it's not logical, really, I don't think. It is very emotional. It's, the level of it being reasonable is something that could be questioned and discussed. But getting confirmation that they don't care about that would be disappointing. And I used the word crushing in a comment, that I would be crushed to know for sure that they don't agree with certain things or don't believe in certain things. And then later on kind of backpedaled and said that was too intense of a word. But I'm not sure it really was too intense of a word. I think it actually is pretty accurate to say that it would be crushing to have it confirmed that they were like apathetic, or they didn't believe in human rights in different scenarios, especially ones that affect me mostly as a woman, but just in general. Also, at times, disclaimer, I refer to Tyler as a person, and other times I say they, meaning the band as a whole, so also including Josh. I do have a particular reverence for Tyler as an artist. I mentioned this, but as a collective, I admire them both a lot. So at the same time, there were people that were very respectfully disagreeing and engaging in a critical way. Then I saw other people that were actually agreeing with me and thanking me for verbalizing what they had been feeling for a while, which was really surprising and really cool. And someone actually reminded me of a situation that happened in 2020 that I had totally forgotten about. And I think this was probably the biggest controversy that Tyler ever got in, that I'm aware of at least. Because in general, I think they really stay out of controversy for the most part. But it was his tweet where he said, "Y'all keep telling me to use my platforms. About time that I broke these bad boys out." And he did this like basic clickbait, bait and switch type thing of, he just posted a photo of him wearing platform shoes, and that was it. Because it was fall of 2020, Black Lives Matter had taken on just an unprecedented level of relevance in the public eye. George Floyd was murdered a few months earlier. and protests were happening all around the world, and people wanted him to basically validate the sentiments that were going around, and then he made a joke of it, and yeah, and was like, y'all want me to use my platforms, here are my platforms, and posted himself wearing shoes. And when he got backlash, basically said, I actually really don't like the way he handled it personally. He said things were too heavy for him and it's too much for him to carry, and then later on said that he did say, you know, Black Lives Matter, and then he said, I was trying to speak about something that also meant a lot to me, being mental health, but there isn't space for it right now, which is a pretty weak response in my opinion, and kind of a cop-out. And I think if he had, honestly, in my opinion, I'm not Black, like, I can just speak from my opinion, my perspective on how he handled this. I feel like if he had led with the bait and switch and then immediately followed it up by actually speaking on the issue and voicing his opinion and voicing his support for the Black Lives Matter movement, I think the reception could have been a lot different. Because in my opinion, in a vacuum, the tweet itself was pretty funny. And he did, like, double down being like, I'm not going to apologize for my platform tweet. It was fantastic. I think in a vacuum, that was funny. Given the greater context of people wanting him to value or, like, validate this very important sentiment that was very relevant at the time, and then him making a joke about it, that was in very poor taste. It was in very poor taste and very tone deaf. And he did not handle it very well, in my opinion. So someone reminded me of that, and that was really awesome. Someone also agreed with the point that I made about basically him benefiting from male privilege and being able to get away with things that I don't think a woman would get away with at all. The way he speaks to his fans, the way he jokes with them, the banter, the sarcasm, the snarkiness, that it's, like, generally understood in the fandom that, you know, he really appreciates his fans and he's joking, but I just really don't think a woman would be able to get away with a quarter of the energy that he puts out to his fans. It would be, oh, she's a bitch, she doesn't deserve her fans, you'd be nothing without them, they got you to where you are, and you treat them like they're nothing, and da-da. Like, it would not be seen as a joke, even if she was joking. Even if she said she was joking, I don't think it would be received anywhere close to the way that he is received. And I do think that that is white male privilege, and I think he does benefit from that, and I don't know the extent to which he's really acknowledged that, and that bugs me. And that's not even really an affront to him as much as it is just the hypocritical nature of culture and pop culture, and what people allow people to get away with, and the excuses they make for them because we have this emotional connection to their art. But yeah, someone appreciated that I pointed that out, and I appreciate that, and I stand by that 100%. I stand by that, and I'm also part of the problem in, you know, accepting that behavior. And I, you know, it's up to me to also critique myself of, like, how would I react if a woman did that same thing? You know, need to be self-aware. So those who opposed my opinion also offered some interesting perspectives. Someone said that they think that the band tries to maintain a neutrality on things in order to prevent division within the fan base, because in a way they set the tone for how the fans treat each other, which I think is a very valid point. I also saw someone say that they prefer not knowing everything that they believe in, because if it didn't align with their beliefs, it may affect the connection that they have to their art. And that is, in my opinion, that's a very similar stance to mine, except I don't know if I would prefer to know for sure or not. I thought that I would prefer to know, but I agree that, like, knowing for sure in the opposite direction would affect my connection to their art, and that would be very destabilizing and scary, and I don't know how I feel about that. So yeah, I realized through this I'm a lot less sure about that than I thought I was, and maybe it's better to not know for sure. Maybe I prefer to know so I know exactly who I'm supporting, though it would really fucking hurt. It would really fucking hurt, especially, like, with the just different levels to which I support them financially, emotionally, everything. Like, maybe it is better to know for sure, even if it really hurts. So I land somewhere around here. I can agree to respect their neutrality, and I understand, and I think it's valid, the reasons why people propose for, like, why they think they try to stay neutral on certain things. But if it is a purposeful decision where they really do believe that it aligns with their values and what they want to foster within their community. I respect that. And in a lot of ways, it is refreshing to have that sense of escapism through their art. I hope that they're not sending out the parts in that way. And I know some people are probably going to get really up in arms that I mentioned sending out the parts, because that's something that they've said they never wanted to do. If you're not aware, Tyler picked the name 21 Pilots inspired by the play All My Sons by Arthur Miller, in which the character sends out airplane parts that he knows are faulty, and then 21 pilots die as a result of that decision. So he and Josh continuously want to avoid sending out the parts, or basically phoning it in, or sacrificing their true selves or their true beliefs for the sake of mass appeal or money or fame, or just taking the easy way out, taking the more traveled road. They want to take the road less traveled in basically any way that they can to be more of their genuine selves and create that more genuine connection with their fans. So I hope that they're not sending out the parts or intentionally holding back or not expressing their true selves for fear of their image or narrowing their appeal or anything like that, which I do get that that's a valid fear, because I feel like it would narrow their appeal regardless of what opinion they express, which is shitty, but like I do feel like that is kind of, it is what it is. So that's where I'm at right now. I don't know why this took forever to record, but here we are. Thank y'all for all the discourse that you gave me on that video. I think that's probably where I'm going to leave it. I might do similar videos about other people that I really respect, but the main other person that I can think of is Taylor Swift. I don't respect her as much as I used to, but I used to worship her when I was a kid. And I've been wanting to make I used to want to be like you about her for a really long time. But we'll see where I get to on that. So thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Let me know what you think in a comment below. Consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell. I hope you have a lovely day, and I will see you next time. Not sure when next time will be, but I'll see you next time, hopefully.